Guys, good morning. Our very first live show for the new year, and we have got something super special for you. We've got Trev, the firefighter, who is also, you won't believe what his second job is, or first job. He's also a real estate agent. Guys, this is going to be an incredible session that you don't want to miss. Stay tuned. Wow. Good morning to Mr. Trevor Bowen, who has agreed.
Good morning, Lisa.
Legend. Trev, it's our absolute pleasure. And gosh, honestly, Trev, we could have you on here, I reckon, for 2 hours and still not cover anything at all, not even touch the sides. Trev, you haven't slept, is that right?
Oh, I'll put my head down between calls, but I wouldn't call it sleeping, no.
Okay, so
finished night shift. So it was a 14-hour night shift, and ready to go for a big week this week in real estate.
So you've taken off your fire hat from night shift last night, and now you're putting on your real estate hat.
Yeah, well, I got to leave a little bit early because of you guys. So normally we finish at 8 a.m, but I got my relief to come in early for me to make sure I didn't miss your 7:45 session. So yeah, we work 6 p.m. till 8 a.m. Two nights a week. So we do 2 days, 2 10-hour days, then 2 14-hour night shifts, and then officially it's 4 days off. But that's when I do real estate between the nights and on my days off, and love both careers. So I'm very, very blessed that I've got 2 careers that I love to do.
I mean, this is a topic all of its own, which we're going to get you back on the show so that we can talk about how you actually have 2 incredible careers. And I think people would just naturally assume, well, you know, you're a full-time firefighter and then you must be a part-time real estate agent, but you're a gun in your field and you're actually like the top agent. It's not like you just sort of, you just doing a few deals here and there. You're a gun real estate agent as well. It's mind blowing. I don't know how you do it.
Time management's pretty big. I know Tom doesn't like the word time management. He calls it time choices, and it is. But I've got a very understanding wife who's a property manager, and she got me into this. So it's her fault. And just work hard. That's it.
Wow. That is it. Seriously, we're going to get you back on our show so that we can talk about this, because this is, as I said, it's actually quite incredible. But the reason we've got you on the show this morning is obviously, it's been worldwide news about what's going on overseas in California, the absolute devastation. I mean, I've been glued to the news since this has happened, like everyone around the world.
Really glued to the news.
Yeah.
As in Lisa's, that's all. It's what she's been talking about a lot. But there was so many questions, Trev, that we had that we thought we wanted to speak to a pro in firefighting, because I think the first thing is, as a family in Australia, with our rural bushland all the way around us, is we sort of think you straight away you start clutching at thinking about your own home and your own, and could you be vulnerable? I think there's been a lot of talk, Trev, in California about what they could have done to preventative measures to this. So briefly today, we thought maybe if you could just give some great tips to people of what they could do around their home, whether they're in the city or whether they're borderlining bushland, that sort of stuff. Because you feel very vulnerable when you see what happened in California. Just to understand, first of all, if anyone who hasn't got their head around the news in California, what's your understanding of what's happened over there? So how did this start? Was that from lack of preparation, or what's happened over there?
I guess the number one thing would be it hasn't rained for 8 months, and of course it's the middle of their winter, but no rain and a very dry winter, so things are very dry, crisp, and a lot easier to catch on fire. and then the infamous Santa Ana winds blow the hot air down and dry things out further. And they did say they were cyclonic speed winds, like 160 kilometres an hour. So it's pretty hard to fight against that. But the number one thing for any of your viewers that are out in rural areas and also on the edge of it, cleaning up around your house gives you a really good chance, because the big fires that come through, it's the ember attack that starts small fires around your house that catch onto your house. That's the main damage. And then once the fire front gets there, the house is already on fire. So cleaning up around the house, cleaning your gutters, don't have anything flammable anywhere near your home, and evacuate early would be my number one tip, because you don't want to risk your life for something that's insured, and leave early and have a plan. You should be planning today what to do next time there's a fire or a bad fire weather, because waiting until the day is far too late.
Yeah. And obviously, look, another great thing would be, I'm guessing, and you're the expert on this, Trev, but to have some sort of a fire plan in place amongst your own family as well. Because you can see, like, having a fire plan in place in terms of getting out early is one thing, but you can see, like, just even watching some of that footage of what's going on in California, that traffic and that the chaos and the panic, which you can totally understand. But that's a whole different scenario that, is of concern as well, because it's one thing to get out of your house, and then I'm guessing, you jump into your car, and then people are stuck in gridlock. I mean, I've been watching, probably like most people, elderly people that are trying to, run up a street. I mean, it's just, it's horrendous.
Well, I guess our city streets are not designed to take everyone. Like they're designed to sort of just, as people sporadically leave or go to their homes, but something that everyone's just going bang out on the highway, chockers.
And I think that the thing that's been relatively alarming here, besides the absolute devastation of what's going on over there in California, is that it seems to be in suburbs. So, whereas we've got a lot of bushland here, I think when people think bushfires, they're thinking dense bush out in the outback somewhere. But this seems to be in suburbia.
It absolutely is. That's why there's rows and rows and rows of houses. So it's a suburb, and quite often a lot of those suburbs are miles and kilometres away from the fire front. But once the embers start coming a few kilometres ahead of the fire front and landing, catching fire, that's what does the damage. Now over there, obviously, their traffic is gridlocked and jammed at the best of times when everyone's going about their normal. But everyone evacuating at once. This morning I saw on the news there's still over 130,000 under evacuation orders. So have a plan of where you're going to go, and have a couple of different plans, because depending on the wind and the weather and where the fire is, plan A might not be an option. And if you share with family and friends your plan, you might be able to go to their house if your home's under attack, and they might be able to come to yours if it's theirs. Have a grab pack, like your important documents, like your passport, driver's license, house insurance, and batteries. Buy a spare phone for your mobile, and of course do all this before the fire. Maybe it's a task everyone could do today, and just be ready and keep well informed, but leave early, because you don't want to be in that gridlock. And then once the fire front's approaching, it will be pitch black. It'll be like 3 a.m. on a dark night with no moon, no stars. It'll be hot, uncomfortable, full of smoke. You can't actually see the road. So a lot of people in their panic are driving fast into pitch black, and then they're hitting trees. And then once one car crashes, someone else runs into them. And then once you leave your car, more risk. So if you are stuck in it, don't leave the car. Visors down. Hopefully, if you've got a blanket in your car, put that up near the glass. But it'll be terrifying, extreme heat, but it'll be worse outside. The radiant heat that kills you if the smoke hasn't.
Oh my goodness!
You don't even think of
that. And that's. I mean, look, I think that's a really valid point right there, because that's the sort of stuff that people just don't think of. They think about, naturally, you think about just getting out of your house, or not. I mean, you can see some people over there in California, they're staying in their homes to try and save them. And, you know, no judgment here because everyone does things differently in that moment of despair. But, you know, you naturally, I mean, for me personally, I'd naturally just think get out as quickly as possible. But you're not actually thinking about what's going on out there on the street. You're thinking, I'll get out of my house and I'll be safe. But then you're dealing with a whole lot of other issues, as you're saying. You've got, you know, smoke problems and visibility problems. I think the best thing that we can do this morning, Trev, is maybe just give a top five list of the most important things that people can do. And you know, I think why it's so scary, look, for everyone around the world, but, you know, particularly for us here in Australia, is because anyone that's lived in Australia knows that we're so prone to bushfires. I mean, we're right in the middle of our bushfire season right now.
Yeah, definitely. We had a massive downpour yesterday, so our suburbia is quite damp at the moment, but that won't take long to dry out. But I would say the number one things would be to make sure your home's clear of debris around it, like I mentioned, and it gives yourself a fighting chance. Have that plan in place, discuss with friends. Evacuate early. There's no use staying to fight and risk your life to save your home. Yeah, it's your home and it's got precious memories, but you can't replace your life. You can rebuild again somewhere else. And you know, if something happens to you, the ripple effect, it affects, you know, at least 100 people mentally. All
Yeah.
your friends, family, work colleagues, they don't want to lose you. So don't risk your life for a house or a car. You can replace them. And if you're out in the rural areas, surely you must invest in a pump. And what you could do is you could set up sprinkler systems where you could put the pumps on through a dam or your pool when you evacuate. And then that might give your house a bit extra chance for, you know, depending on the capacity of the pump and the size of your tanks, dams, or pool, keep everything damped down when you leave. And then that'll give your home a bit more of a chance for when you get back. Fill your bath, fill your sinks with water, buckets of water, because quite often not only the firefighting supplies will be compromised with how much water the fire trucks are taking out of them, but it only needs a main to burst with the different pressures. Some farmers could be supplied by polypipe across paddocks. So there's lots of reasons why things go wrong. So if you can cover all of the bases as best you can, but number one thing would be evacuate early. On a total fire ban day, if your area is under threat, hot northerly winds, get out early before the traffic jam. Make that early decision to leave and have a plan for that day. Go to a shopping centre, go and watch the movies, be somewhere cool. And like I said, your house is insured. Don't risk your life saving insured items. I've seen people on the news putting TVs in cars and things like that. They're worth nothing.
Yeah.
And insured. It's just your life and some important documents. That's what you want to take, and have them somewhere so you can grab them quickly in a grab bag.
And
Wow,
with
great
without
info.
preparation, you know, years before something like this,
Yeah.
back burning, you know, can you sort of does that automatically happen, or do you want to give your firefighters a rattle? You know, your rural firefighters a rattle or whatever, or how does that get managed?
Every local area is different. There's a lot of areas that they don't allow back burning. They don't allow animals in there in the state parks. So it has changed, and there's a lot of political backwards and forwards about it. So I won't get political, but all you can really do is look after your own little plots. If you're on big land, you can plough around your house. Don't plant flammable shrubs and trees near your house. Have that at least a 15 metre break between foliage. And you can set up systems where you block your gutters on your house and then fill them up with the hose before you leave, or if you are trapped staying there. And then when falling leaves and bark that's on fire that gets blown ahead with the winds, that's what we call the ember attack. When they land in
Right.
the wet gutters will put them out. And it's those little embers that are landing near your house that are setting fire to something flammable. And then a lot of people that do stay, and I don't advocate it, but you make the wrong decision and things happen quickly and you're stuck at home. If you can put out those embers, go inside at the last minute. But look, you'll struggle to breathe, so you've got to get in early. And then once the front part then comes out, because a lot of the houses that burn, it's after the front goes, they slowly catch on fire. But of course, you've got to have something to put those embers out with. So if you haven't prepared for that, you won't be able to put them out because there will be lots of them.
Wow. Look, am I right in saying, I can't help but thinking as I'm hearing you talk, Trev, we both have lived in Australia all of our lives. I just can't remember being properly educated about what to do in the event of a fire.
Get down low and go.
But that was it, Mark. That's kind of where it started and stopped. And we live in a country where we are prone to bushfires. So, and no one's immune. As I said, you only need to look at what's going on overseas in California. These guys are not living in the bush. They're living in suburbia. I just don't think that there's enough education. What are your thoughts on that?
Definitely. Another great thing you could do is look up your local fire service website. They have fire prevention page on it under fire safety, fire prevention. No matter where you're watching this broadcast from, there'll be something local, or at least even the city where you're near. Capital City Fire Services, they have great websites. And even in suburbia, we advocate if there's a fire in a reserve, you evacuate at least 3 streets away from that fire and move away from it. But the trouble is with those strong winds, when a house catches on fire, we don't actually fight that fire. We try and protect the exposures first. So we do rescue first. If anyone needs rescuing, we go for the rescue. We work under a thing called RESEF, does an acronym. So the R is rescue. So anyone needs rescuing, we save life first. And then the next E is exposures. So the E, the exposure, is the neighbouring house. So it's better to lose one house fully than have 4 houses damaged by fire. So we'll protect the exposures first, and then the C is containment. So we'll try and contain the fire to the home that's on fire. And then we look at the next E, which is extinguish. So then we extinguish the fire. And the last one is fire duty, which is staying there after the fire's out to make sure it doesn't reignite. So we work under a thing called RESEF. Evacuation is key. And know where your family members are. Don't go back into a burning house. When you do leave the house, close every window and door. And then if you're in suburbia and it's, say, a single normal house fire, not a big wildfire, by closing the doors, the fire will starve itself of oxygen and it will actually burn slowly. Whereas if you leave all the doors open, it just sucks all the air from the rest of the house and burns well. So little things like that can make a big difference for a firefighter.
Oh, we got you back, Trev.
Oh, did I disappear?
Sorry, no, I think we did.
You guys, I can see.
Sincerely apologise. Trev, can we just, sorry, we just missed the last part. I don't know if the rest of the audience did. And good morning to everyone who's tuned in. Good morning to beautiful Maria. And Happy New Year to everyone. We've got, for those of you guys that may have just tuned in, we've got Trevor Bowen with us. Trevor's a firefighter down in Victoria. He's also an absolute gun real estate agent in his area. Trev, I do apologise. We just missed the last part of what you said.
Sure. I would assume most people watching would live in suburbia or in a city. Just to take a normal house fire in suburbia, when you're leaving the home, make sure you have all the doors closed and all the windows closed. And then if there's a fire in the kitchen or in the bedroom, that will contain it to that room for quite a long time because it will use up the oxygen.
Oh, really?
It will burn slowly. Whereas if you leave everything open, it just draws on all the air in the house. So always close your doors when you evacuate. If you're in a high rise, especially close your doors. And if you're in an office situation, make sure all the office doors are shut. Get out early, have a meeting point so that when the fire brigade arrives, the first thing we ask, is there anyone in the house? Is everyone out? And it's good to know that everyone's out. I remember a house fire in Oakley 6 months ago. We did 3 searches and it was fully involved in fire. So risked our lives for a brother that was meant to be in there, but he was long gone. And that's quite frustrating that you're risking your life for someone that's not in there. So make sure you know where
Wow.
Right.
meeting point, normally
Wow.
near the box. And then when we get there, we know that everyone's out and safe and we can concentrate on firefighting rather than tying up crews going in looking for someone.
That, look, I guess what I'm taking out of this is just get out early. That seems to be the thing that's just coming through very clearly, is get out early. And again, I think you've got, people would be divided. You've got half the amount of people, that are going, I'm going to save everything. I need to stay here. I've got the house. I've got, you're concerned about what's going to happen to your neighbours.
Be a hero.
That's it. And then, and then the other half, I think, would just get. What was that? Sorry?
I said, let it burn down and buy a house from the Novaks.
Or from Trev. Or from Trev if you're down in Victoria. Trev, just finishing up, I know we were speaking off air and also yesterday, you've got a friend or some friends over there in California that you've been in touch with. What do you know? What can you tell us?
Yeah, Dane's a firefighter at Marina Del Rey, which is sort of south of Venice Beach and Santa Monica Pier. So the other day they were tasked to go to every burnt down house and turn off the water meter going into every house, because every house has just got water flowing, which is taking the pressure away from the fire hoses and filling fire trucks. So just saving that water. And their meter is a little bit different than ours. They're actually in the ground out in the footpath. So it's just a matter of lifting a flap, twisting a valve 90 degrees and shutting off the water to the home or the burnt out home. And as you can imagine, every house, if it's running out, say, I don't know, 10 litres a minute, it's wasting a lot of water that could be going to fire and, of course, drinking. So they've been doing that. He sent over a few amazing photos of the aftermath, and that one there, that's a wheel from a car. So I don't know whether it's a mag wheel, a magnesium wheel, or an aluminium wheel, but it shows you the intense heat that's melted some form of metal into molten, and of course now it's dried because the fire's gone. So that's the type of extreme temperature I'm talking about, that you don't want to leave your car and you don't want to be leaving too early. And of course, you don't want to be leaving too late. If you do leave late, there'll be most likely trees across the road that you can't get past. And also, because it's so dark, smoky, your headlights don't work. If you're panicking and flying along really fast and crash into a tree across the road, that's the end of your car and you're now trapped. Then you've got the risk of the next car running into the back of you. So that's why you need to leave early. It's not about why, well, it is about why you leave early, because there's all these other hazards when you're leaving late. And when you're in a panic, you're just not thinking straight. And, you'll have the fight or flight mode going on in you, and you're flighting and you're not thinking straight at that stage. You need to leave in a calm manner with plenty of time.
Yeah. And how are they coping over there, from speaking to your friend? I mean, watching it on the news, I'm sure every single person agrees. As I said, it's just catastrophic, and it's just total devastation. How are they coping over there?
He's working massive hours. His family's safe. They live away from the area. We were blessed about, I'd say 10 years ago, we went over and visited him, and he gave us a money can't buy experience. He took us around to some of the life-saving towers along Manhattan Beach and a tour of those, and then took us out on the boat from Marina Del Rey, the firefighting boat. So we went up to past Venice Beach to Santa Monica Pier, and they put the fire pumps on for our kids, and they got to direct the massive fire nozzles and the water sprays. So yeah, it was a really good few days with him. His family came and stayed with us, his daughter, when they were backpacking. So really beautiful family, and yeah, he's working pretty hard at the moment. And the logistics will be incredible. I saw on the news yesterday there was 8,000 of the National Guard there to help stop looters and bring a bit of calm and order to the area. So they've got to be housed, they've got to be fed, they've got to have water. Then all the fire crews I've seen on the news, there's crews there from Mexico and Canada, and there'll be a lot of states there as well. So the logistics of that will be a nightmare. The cleanup, well, that'll probably take nearly forever. Imagine all that rubble and debris. That's got to be taken somewhere. And where's it going to go? How much equipment to do it? The city's probably broke like cities. So the recovery from this, he said the area he was working in, most of the homes were worth about $40,000. And just looking at the
million.
Yeah, $1 million. Yeah, sorry,
$1 million.
$35 million.
Really?
Yeah.
Beautiful homes.
Yeah. They're super expensive
Is that
areas.
Australian dollars or US? Who
No,
cares?
that's
It's a lot.
US, yeah. So
Wow.
social media's got a lot of the footage on there, and it really is. It's heartbreaking. And I know it's terrible for the 16 that have lost their lives, but for such massive fires for only 16 is quite incredible. When our Black Saturday fires went through, I think that was about 18, 20 years ago, something like that. I think we lost about 130 up in the small country towns. Whole towns were wiped out. So loss of life is quite low for the amount of homes that are burnt down. I think it's up around the 8,000 homes or 10,000 homes. And of course, a lot of the full numbers won't come in until it's over. This morning I heard about 20% of it was contained, whereas 2 days ago they said they'd contain none of it. So the wind will be the biggest factor. If the wind keeps up, they'll struggle to contain it for a long time. If the wind stops or when the wind has died down, that's when they can get ahead of it and put in measures and backburn and drop. You've seen the footage of the planes dropping the retardant with the pink dye in it, so they know where it's landed. And then the incredible bravery of those pilots, like flying around. Those size fires, and even much smaller, create their own microclimates. So there's every chance it could snow in that area because of what's happening. And then they create their own tornadoes and updrafts and thermal lifts. So those pilots are incredibly brave. And, touch wood, quite often there's a crash. One hit an illegal drone the other day, one of their great big super scooper planes.
I saw that.
Down. So, yeah, just losing one plane is a massive loss to the firefighting effort.
My goodness.
The other thing you've got to worry about is because they would be drawing so many resources from everywhere, you've still got to have a fire protection fleet back where they've come from. All the other normal fires don't just stop. So you've still got to provide support and backup for other parts of the city where the fires are nowhere near, and other cities and towns close by. So you can't have every truck in America.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we were talking about terrorism, and Lisa and I were on the back of it, because it leaves, you've still got to have that cover from wherever they're coming from, or if they're rushing from Mexico to come and help, they've still got to look after Mexico.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, that's right. While everyone's attention is diverted to those fires, you've still got to.
Yeah, it's true.
You've still got to have a city that's protected against anything else, that could happen. You've still got crime. You've still got people that need ambulances, and as you mentioned, the fire department for other events that take place.
Trevor, I haven't thought about that, Bowen.
Sorry?
What's that?
It's Trevor. I haven't thought about that, Bowen. All the stuff you've said today, I was like, I haven't thought about that.
Yeah.
Haven't thought about that. It's amazing to go through your mind, and then when you say it, it's like, of course, but you just never think about that.
No, of course not. You don't know what you don't know is a pretty famous saying. And unless you sit down and think about it or you're touched by it, of course you don't know it. It's not normal to know it. And yeah, a bit more education in schools might be worthwhile. But Fire Rescue Victoria, we do we call it Fire Ed. We go into primary schools, but that's mainly teaching about the fire in suburbia and the house, and like you mentioned, get down low and go, stop, drop, cover, and roll.
Do they even say that anymore? Do they still
Yeah,
teach that, or are we just showing our age? Get down low and go. Remember that?
It's perfect because kids remember it easy, and quite often every year when they give out little hero awards, there'll be some kid's house will catch on fire and they remember what they've learnt, and they'll get the family out, make them stay at the letterbox, tell them to get down low and call 000, and then they win a little certificate for being a 000 hero. It's what they remember, and even if only one kid remembers one house or family, it's an incredible program. So
Well,
FRV
that's exactly right. But I
yeah.
think there needs to be, just wrapping up now. I think there needs to be more education out there. I truly do, because it's one thing to teach the young kids, which is outstanding. I mean, Mark and I still remember that from when we were at primary school. But it's another thing, I think, for continued education. So that we can try and ease the chaos, and people can understand what they need to do. But the big takeaway from me was get out early, guys. Get out early, as quickly as you can. And I just, want to finally just wrap up by saying our hearts truly do go out to anyone that has been affected over there, and a massive, massive effort to anyone who has been overseas in California assisting with those fires.
Hats off to you.
Absolute hats off.
To all the all the people out there that are helping people in need. That's just incredible.
Watching it from afar has been tormenting enough. But Trev, we want to thank you for coming on this morning at such short notice. You haven't slept. You've just finished night shift as a fiery. Now you're about to clock on as a real estate agent. We're 100% going to get you back on the show to talk about that. And we want to say a huge thank you for coming on without any sleep. You're an absolute legend.
Oh, that's okay. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. Respect you guys very, very highly. It's amazing what you do in your local area. So well done. Thanks again. Stay safe out there. And the last thing I would just wanted to say is some of those homes, their insurance company dumped them about 3 years ago. So some of them aren't even insured. So they've lost everything with no insurance through no fault of their own, just through the insurance companies not covering them. So the relief efforts and the donations will be very important for them. But my heart and thoughts go out to the firefighters who also, they're worried about their homes and families while they're doing it, because they live in LA.
They're exposed. Anyway, we're going to get you on again to talk about this more. So viewers, stay tuned. If Trevor's so kind to give you a little bit more of his time over the next coming weeks. But have a great day today.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Trev.
Thanks, Trev.
Thanks.
Take care. See ya.